Alright, so we need to talk about Stadium. Hi everybody, my name is Abby. Welcome to the video. You've seen the title. These are my brutally honest thoughts about Overwatch Stadium. As somebody who's a fan, obviously, of the hero shooter genre, Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, I played a bit of Paladins in my day, and Stadium has a little bit of Paladins to it too. And I'm a fan of MOBAs as well. I play a lot of League of Legends and League of Legends Wild Rift. As somebody who's enjoyed both of these types of genres, I felt like Stadium is a fantastic mixture of both of those two different things coming together and meeting in one area, allowing for a little bit of everything from both of the different genre types, a MOBA as well as the hero shooter. So we're going to be discussing the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads, the uglies, and what I would like to see in the future. With that being said, let's get straight into it. I'm going to actually start with the goods because honestly, there's a shit ton of goods that I want to talk about. Excuse the language over there if you don't mind. Let's get straight into the goods. Okay, so the goods number one, the heroes feel absolutely phenomenally fun. One of the characters that I've actually despised playing has been Mei. I used to play Mei a lot back in the 6v6 days. I used to be the Mei player. Obviously, I was the projectile player for my team that I played with and scrimmed with. And Mei was one of those characters that I just felt like if we took her a different direction, the character would just be so much more fun, you know? And with what the stadium mode actually allows, I've been able to explore Mei in a completely different light, and I've been enjoying her a lot. Now, I do think some of Mei's perks are actually very atrocious and they're very scary. And there's some builds flying around that are really ridiculous, so hopefully Blizzard nerfs them soon. But outside of that, I like how innovative the gameplay has become. Genji, okay, so at this point, I'm kind of the Genji guy in Overwatch now, right? Like, Necros is kind of gone, so I've kind of taken over, even though I'm a little, like, 6,000 subscriber, like, YouTuber. But besides that point, I know a lot of people come to me for some Genji talk, so let's talk about Genji a little bit. Genji is in a very interesting spot. I really like the way that they've taken his kit. There's so many different ways and things that you can build into the deflect, with the Iado strike, where after deflect you can Dragon Blade slash right away. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind that as a major perk on live because Genji's major perks are absolutely garbage. And there's a lot of things in there that I just felt like, one of the things that Stadium allows for us to do is, hey, we can put some of the more crazier and wackier stuff in Stadium, and then if it's really not that bad or broken, because there, to some extent, it is a very vast like testing environment too, right? Maybe those perks can actually come to life, or powers, or however you want to label them. So one of them that I think is, one of the major perks that Genji has is the bleed perk, but that bleed perk is so pathetic. And I think either you just allow it to be a proper bleed perk that, instantly bleeds without any condition needing to be met, or you change it up and rework it. I would personally like to see them lean into the way Iado Strike works, and there's a plethora of reasons for that, but I'm not going to talk about that in depth over here. I want to talk about a little bit of everybody. I love the different Soldier 76 builds. You can build Soldier in this weird, like you can turn him immortal and have him run around with the little biotic field healing everybody. You can build into like Helix rockets with the tactical visor, locking onto people, and just, like a little bit of that here and there. Cassidy builds into like infinite like ammo, and the more headshots and the kill confirmations you do, so it rewards his skill. He doesn't necessarily have all the flashiest perks, but like passive gameplay ability wise, the stronger he gets, you feel that in your kit. So Cassidy, a bit slept upon. On the tank side, I've also played a lot of the tanks, and Junker Queen, Reinhardt, yeah, man, they are very, very fun to play. Diva is in a little bit of a depressing spot. I think Diva needs to be looked at a lot. She's very weak. She can barely put up a fight in the early game against a lot of the tanks that are in the game right now, and it certainly doesn't help that a majority of the tanks in the game at the moment have a very good matchup into her. And it just kind of feels like Diva is one of the characters that just very, very poorly translated here. One of her stronger builds was actually the Baby Diva build, which is a story for another time. But the point is that they nerfed that build, so essentially Diva does not have a viable build anymore, which kind of sucks. So hopefully they look at Diva a lot going into the mid-season patch for Stadium. But circling back around, Reinhardt has a insane fire strike, leaves behind lava build, building into ability power, armor penetration, and all this type of stuff. It's so cool what you can do. Junker Queen, man, I could go on for hours about Junker Queen. If you guys have not played, I actually think Junker Queen is S tier in Stadium. I think she's by far the best tank in what she has to offer, but I think that also depends because a lot of the building, right, like a lot of the situation does rely on your ability to build your items and your characters. I actually obviously I spent the most time on Genji. I found myself constantly adjusting my builds depending on the round, and the best part is you can see to some extent what builds the enemy has as well. So like once I had the knowledge that okay, they're building like this and this, I think if I build this way, I might be able to get away with a lot more and all this type of stuff. So very, very cool. I'm looking forward to a lot more characters coming in. I played a little bit of Reaper as well. His perks were also interesting. I played support when Juno had the pretty much zero cooldown on the tactical rockets that she's got. Tactical rockets, excuse me. The little, you know, homing rockets that she's got. So they just like torpedoes, right? Pulsar torpedoes, that's the word. So pulsar torpedoes locking into people, blowing them up immediately, like, and then just like repeating. It's so annoying. It's so strong. And man, the Kiriko kunai build, the Kiriko explosive kunai, Mercy, you can actually take in a lot of interesting directions as well, to the point that I actually think one of the powers that she has, or two of them, can actually come to the perk system in the game, and I think it might actually help Mercy a lot, maybe even rework Mercy towards this gameplay loop. I generally don't think it's that bad. Like right now, I would argue Mercy is by far the worst support in the game. I don't even think 𝐓𝐈𝐈 is that bad anymore. I actually think Mercy's very poo-poo right now, outside of like helping breaking, you know, the DPS breakpoints, but that's more damage boost than it actually is the actual character of Mercy. But I digress. So let's talk about now some of the well, there's not that many downs, but we will get there. They're heavy downs. Another thing is, I actually think the 5v5 format is maybe perfect for this game mode. As much as I would like to see the 6v6 game mode for this as well, although they said that there's no plans for any of that at the moment, I think 5v5 is perfect for this. Usually in MOBAs, if I'm not wrong, I don't know too much about Dota and some of the others, but I've played some of the ones on the phones. Like you guys know, like Mobile Bang, whatever that one is called, like Wild Rift. I've played League of Legends. So 5v5 is how it goes over there, and I think 5v5 is perfect for here, because one of the things that you can do is if you feel like the enemy tank is oppressing you, you can full on counter build into the enemy tank and destroy them. I had a game where I felt like I couldn't stop this like Reinhardt that was like just dominating our lobby. I built very heavily into ability power and armor penetration, and I just destroyed him that next following round, right? It was such a different experience. So I do think you have to have a little bit more, like, you know, knowledge for this type of stuff, that okay, like what's going on both sides. Are they going to counter build us? Will we counter build them? You are kind of meant to do that. You kind of like, you're locked into one character. Enough of the counter picking. It's time to power up your characters in different ways. You know, it's time to approach the game differently. So that is what I like about Stadium, and that's why I personally said that I think Stadium is the future of Overwatch, and I still think it's the future of Overwatch. I like where Overwatch is currently for both Open Queue 6v6 and Roll Queue 5v5, but I'm going to come back to that in a moment. However, I do understand one of the reasons they aren't able to do a 6v6 is because they've openly admitted that there are performance issues that come with Stadium because there's just so much going on. And it's not on PC, it's more on consoles. And sadly, you know, we do have a very big console player base, and there's already a lot of complaints about Stadium's performance. So I get where Blizzard like is, but my only my only comment here is, if we will stay in 5v5, do not nerf any of the items that allows DPS to hard counter tank. That is my only request. I'm okay with 5v5 in this format because I've kind of played League of Legends, you know, with the 5v5. Top lane is usually a tank support, and you know, DPS is at the bottom lane. Your mage or assassin is in the middle lane. You have a jungler, whatever. They can also be tanks, and you know, things like that sometimes. But that's not the point. Point is about the shop system helping you counteract some pain points. So I like the shop system a lot right now. My only request is, do not nerf the DPS's ability to deal with the tank. Okay, I think that's the entire point of the system. And if the tank personally feels like the DPS is building too much armor penetration or too much like burst capabilities, they're more than welcome to actually use the survival you know, area of the building and actually build into survival. Because what I have noticed across a lot of games now is a lot of people, including supports and tanks, and well, pretty much just DPS as well, nobody is using the survival a page, and you can actually do some crazy things with the survival page. It's very good for Mercy. You can do some really interesting things for like an Immortal Soldier 76 build as well. But like, you know, tank players can start applying that. Like if they feel like, okay, like I have a hyper carry DPS or maybe two hyper carry DPS, I don't need to be the one that pops off. Maybe this round I actually build into just being immortal, staying alive, and enabling my DPS. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's actually pretty cool, that round to round gameplay, and round to round gameplay is so fast. You only have to put up with it for like maybe 5 minutes maximum. So that is really cool. Now, some of the downsides of Stadium. one of the downside of Stadium that I personally felt was I kind of felt like we are in like an early phase of Stadium. Like it is complete. It is its own thing. I do think there could have been a little bit more characters for it to launch with. But I digress. It's okay. Like for what it is okay. Like I'm not like overly stressed about them adding like more characters, but because they've already shown that they will add them, so I don't have to stress about them adding them. But I do think there could be maybe 2 3 more characters that they launched Stadium with. It's interesting because at the moment the problem is all the playstyles on tank feel the same. They're all brawl tanks, right? Diva is also kind of forced to play a brawl playstyle in 5v5, and it's even worse in Stadium because like the way the gameplay flows for her in Stadium is a little bit like very awkward right now. Like Diva, like I said, Diva just needs a lot of help. So my criticism number 1 was I wish it launched with a little bit more heroes. Number 2, I think something else that I would like to see in the future, and by the way, at the time of recording this, I have now seen a post that they've confirmed that this is going to happen, but I was going to say this, is I kind of wish there was like consumables. Or for example, like they are, let's be real, they are using a lot of PvE assets and all that type of stuff for this game mode. We all know this, right? That's where the skill trees and abilities and powers are coming from. What I would like to see is them lean into a soft like PvE mechanic for like a jungle lane. There's not going to be any jungle lane at the moment, but it would be so cool if, for example, suddenly in like as you and the enemy team are playing, the objective turns off and a PvE boss, like an Omnic boss, spawns somewhere on the map. And it's now down to the teams to not only find this PvE boss, confront this PvE boss, and whoever defeats it, you get a buff. So pretty much I'm thinking about Baron and like, fighting the dragons at League of Legends, right? Like if anybody's played a MOBA, you would know what I'm talking about. And then the set team would get a bonus, right? And I just think like more consumables and more like events across the maps would really help flesh the game out sometimes, right? So if you feel like you're in a situation where you cannot turn it around and you cannot change your build, well, maybe you might just need to find the right consumable that might be nearby or lurking here and there, or like a little like mini event that you can do. And I think that like also kind of helps us like, have that PvE experience. And even though it's not fully fleshed out, it would at least be good enough to pass as a MOBA like element in the MOBA like game mode, right? So I would personally like to see a little bit more leniency in going in that direction. Now, the rank system in the game, I might be losing my mind over here, okay? And this is a point of criticism. First of all, it does kind of feel like there is no matchmaking. The matches are very all over the place. And when I open people's profiles, like their ranks are also all over the place. But from what I've noticed, the more you rank up, the worse the queue times get. So it's a little bit confusing because like, are they taking into account of the ranks? Are they taking into account of like, your MMR from quick play or competitive? It feels weird. And I'm seeing a lot of complaints on Twitter as well. People are saying, oh, the queue times are really long, the queue times suck, etc., etc. So really hope that they can figure that out, flesh that out a little bit. Another thing that I really don't like to see is, well, this is more of a community thing, but people give up way too fast in this game mode. Guys, like, if you lose 1 round, 2 round, it's okay. Like, what you're trying to do is understand what the enemy is building, like, do a bit of research, press tab on over to the enemy's building idea, and see what you can do to perhaps counter build what they are doing, or you could lean into one of your builds, or maybe you are not building your things stronger, so you might need to do a little bit of research, and then you can pop off better, right? So there's many ways to approach your characters in Stadium. Please don't give up just because 1 or 2 rounds were lost. Like the game is meant to go on longer and longer and longer, with the idea that, wait, there's a comeback potential for the other team. And then at the 3-point mark, if one team gets 3 points ahead the other team, the game just finishes. So that can happen, right? So do have a little bit more of a competitive mindset. Another point of criticism, I do think it sucks that the game didn't launch with a quick play mode, and I think that holds back a lot of people from actually exploring the game mode itself, because they're like, the placebo effect is still there. People, they value their rank and they get scared that, well, my rank will go up and down, like what if I cannot play with my friends or something like that, and etc., etc. So I do kind of wish these were some things that were kind of considered, even though if I'm not actually wrong, and somebody can correct me on this, I think regardless of the rank, you can queue with each other regardless of the rank, right? I don't think there's a really big bar because it's not mentioned anywhere. I did do a little bit of research, and unless I like very easily missed it somewhere, I don't think there's like a limit. I think it's like, yeah, anybody can play with anybody, because the ranks are their own thing, and it's a little bit more progression style rank system rather than a competitive rank system. So it's very casual-esque. It's basically like the Marvel Rivals rank system, where it's something that it's supposed to make you feel good. It's not necessarily trying to evaluate whether you are the best or you are the worst, right? Like I don't know. Like obviously there's a point where it starts counting wins and losses, but um I don't know, it doesn't feel like a real dedicated rank system. I could be wrong, so if you guys know a little bit more about the rank system and what's going on with Stadium, let me know down below. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Let me know down below. And that brings us down to the uglies. Honestly, the game mode doesn't really have any uglies. The only uglies can be if that there's any oppressive builds, the developers need to address them fast. But the speed at which they addressed Juno's case and the Baby Diva build case was so fast that I was actually very impressed. So hats off to Overwatch. I think Stadium is a huge point in the future. And my one last personal advice is please keep promoting Stadium. Promote the crap out of Stadium. We need to keep this game mode alive for Overwatch to succeed, because it is a breath of fresh air. Even now, I know a lot of people that have played Overwatch that don't know about the current season, and they don't even know that Stadium has even happened. Like they're unaware that there's this like completely new brand of like fresh air in Overwatch to go and enjoy the characters. So I really want to see better marketing from Overwatch. That's been actually a criticism of mine for a lot of days, a lot of months now, that I personally think like Overwatch's marketing has been absolute garbage. I don't know if they have a bad budget or whatever the case might be, but they really need to up the ante over there. And that's just my review so far, everybody, for Stadium. I will have a lot of build videos coming up. I kind of want to do some like educational content for Stadium, so let me know if you're interested in builds. And we're obviously going to start with Genji, because I'm the Genji guy now. So we'll be starting with some Genji builds. We're going to bring in some soldier builds. We're going to see some Juno, Kiri, Mercy, Ana builds, Reinhardt, Zarya, Diva, Junker Queen. So if you want guides and videos on how to build and play these characters throughout the match, do let me know and I will do my best for you. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.